My name is Justin, and this is Ryan, and he's my right-hand man, and my sidekick. And we're in a band together. Not that kind of band! The kind of band that has performed thousands of shows all over the world, including 3,000 shows on the Las Vegas Strip. Not that kind of Vegas, this kind of Vegas. Now we turn our attention to doing good in the world, spreading our love, and inspiring others. So, welcome to our world of chaos
and kindness.
You were late. Sorry. Welcome to a special episode of Chaos and Kindness. I made a promise to our fans that every year I would do something on mental health. And this episode is 100% about you, inspiring you, and showing you that you're not alone. As someone who my entire adult life, I've battled anxiety, depression, and panic disorder. I know all too well the feeling of being alone and feeling helpless and how that controls your life. So in this episode, I invited 4 individuals who are struggling with some kind of mental illness that's controlling their life to share their story with me, to ask questions, and hopefully inspire you at home to take action and to understand that you are not alone and that your life is just beginning. So welcome to a very special episode of Chaos and Kindness. Let's get started.
I'm Robin, I'm 20 years old and I'm from Alton, New Hampshire.
And you have the coolest hair. You have the coolest hair. What inspired you to want to sit here and spend 15 minutes with me?
Mental illness is a big thing nowadays and a lot of people are treating like it's not. Because I've lost like 3 friends just this year from suicide. Not only that, but I've struggled with depression and anxiety from a young age.
And give me some examples of the kind of depression that you go through or the anxiety that you have.
Feeling like my friends don't want me to be around. So I get kind of on my own. I shut off my phone for a while. I listen to music, I turn off the lights. Mainly my anxiety that I get is just physical anxiety, like shaking and messing with sleeves of long sleeve shirts. Sometimes stumbling over words.
And it seems like, so to me, that there's, a lot of that comes from there's an insecurity there, right? So you think there's this feeling that people don't want to hang out with you and be around you, so therefore, that kind of puts you into an introverted frame of mind.
From when I was 8 years old, I had come down with a medical condition of obstructive sleep apnea. So at night, I wouldn't sleep because I would stop breathing. During the day at school, I would sleep during the day, so I was known as that weird kid, so I didn't have any friends. With not having the friends, I just go home, eat my feelings like most people do, and I started gaining the weight, which added on to bullying, which added on to more depression, which added on to more anxiety of being around people.
When you have these cycles, right, because I always feel like they're cycles. For myself, I can say that I get anxiety first, and when I get anxious, it feeds into my negative space and eventually manifests itself into depression. And then what happens is anxiety starts creating this feeling that you can't do things. An example, hang out with your friends or feel like you can be social or feel like you aren't even a human probably at times. For me, I can absolutely relate to some of those qualities that you feel. But when you're having one of those cycles, where do you find any light at the end of that tunnel? Where do you find yourself going, this is what helps me get through that?
What really helps me is music. Listening deep into the lyrics and realizing that I'm not the only one who's gone through this or going through this. And even with talking friends, I know that, but it's kind of different because you also have those friends who go through it, but they can get through it easier than you can. So you have those.
Well, maybe you perceive that they can get through it easier than you, right? So I used to suffer from this feeling, and I think it's very common that a lot of people have, which is this feeling that when you are anxious or depressed, you feel like, I wish I could be anybody else but me, because they're not feeling this, that person's invincible. But really what it is a facade. Everyone that's walking around this earth has their biggest smile on because they're so afraid to actually admit how much pain they have inside. And that could be something that's genetic, but a lot of us are really afraid to admit how much we're hurting inside. And I would argue that the majority, not the minority, of people are actually really in a painful state of mind. So you can't think that way. You can't go around going, I'm the only one that feels this way, or I feel this way more than that person. The truth of the matter is, whoever's watching this TV program right now is going, oh, I'm you. I feel exactly how you feel. And that should give you this sense of not being alone, and in fact, give you the power to, hey, listen, you aren't weird for listening to music. You aren't weird because you've eaten your sorrows. You have changed in your mind for the worse because of this residual effect. When I was 20 years old, that's when the panic attack started for me. I was locking myself in my house. I was afraid to leave. Is a panic attack gonna happen to me? Am I gonna go out in public and I'm gonna be, the embarrassed one who has to walk around in circles and shiver? You are absolutely not any different than anyone else in that regard. But what I wanna know is, how are you gonna break this cycle 2 weeks from now, 2 years from now, and 20 years from now, so that you can go do the things in your life you want to do? Because a lot of us have depression and anxiety because of our circumstances, because of our environments. And getting yourself out of that toxic area and finding a way to find a support system that's positive, that will blossom your happiness tenfold. What lessons have you learned, or that you're trying to learn, that you hope that someone's watching that goes through what you go through to do?
Probably to find someone that is going through the same thing as you are, so that you guys have each other to talk about things. And if you feel like you need help, go and get it, because nobody is alone in this world, and everybody has somebody to help them in this world.
Yeah, well said. All right, girl. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Give me a hug. But thank you for having the courage to come in here and share your message. Coming up after the break.
I was constantly assaulted, and so badly that I almost got choked to death.
I survived. That was it. I existed. That was it.
Oh, yeah, style. How did you end up here today?
Bullies.
I feel like the word bullying gets used a ton, right? So anybody that gets picked on, I'm being bullied. But what's crazy is bullying can happen in the workplace, it happens in relationships, but most commonly you hear about it happening in schools. And I know for me personally, I had experiences when I was a kid. Kids in the hallway would pants me, or they'd call me gay, or whatever. I mean, I went through that whole, this group of kids is like that group of kids. That's just what kids do, and that's what we do as young adolescents. We just don't know how to control ourselves, and we don't know where to put that negative energy. So we put that negative energy on other people and circumstances, and then we call it bullying for all intents and purposes. Tell me a little bit about your circumstance and why you feel like you want to be here to talk about that.
I was constantly assaulted and followed home, and a bunch of stuff like that, to the point where it was occurring every day, and so badly that I almost got choked to death. I've never really been that open about me getting bullied and stuff like that until about a month ago, when people asked me why I was so depressed all the time and why I was always that kid who's just in the corner. And then I started to think about it. Maybe if I'm upfront and honest about it, maybe I won't suffer from as much depression. And ever since I've told people about my story, I've always been I've never really been sad in the past month and a half. I've always
The truth will set you free, homie.
Yeah, I've always
The truth will set you free. Like when you hold that stuff inside, it could be anything. Because everybody in life, every human being right now that's watching this right here can say, I've made mistakes. As recently as probably yesterday. Same with you. You're gonna keep making those mistakes, but you now can go, well, I don't want to be the reason for the other kid to be in the corner. If you don't like how that feels, for you to be in the corner, you don't want to make somebody else feel that way.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I probably have bullied some people because of me feeling bad about myself getting bullied. Like, I feel you always bully somebody for a reason. There's never just, you're just doing it. It's never like that. There's always got to be some sort of reason. Like for me, it was obviously because I was getting bullied and I felt bad about myself. For the bullies who were bullying me, I feel like it's because I did my own thing. I wasn't like anybody else.
The most important thing is, do you like who you are?
I love who I am. Yeah. I try new things every day. I've tried music. I don't know how you do it. It was virtually impossible for me.
It's all temporary. These kids that are choking you, these kids that are stealing your belongings, the kids that are frowning on you in the hallways, the kids that are making you feel like you're less of a man, temporary. It goes away. I know at 13 years old, it seems like it's gonna last forever, that it's never gonna stop. Like, this is your life as you know it. But that's not the case. Anything else you wanna add to people that are watching this thing about how to stay positive or find themselves or what?
Just be open and honest to people who care about you and people who try to help you. Like, I've lost many friends by not being honest with them, and you don't want to do that. You want to be open, and you want to tell people the truth about a lot of things.
Amen, brother. Thanks for coming to hang out. Love it. Tell your mom thank you for bringing you down. Coming up after the break.
I actually was in the corner next to a trash can and a wall, freaking out.
What's the most depressed you've ever been? How are you?
Good, how about you?
I'm Justin.
Hi, Casey.
Casey, nice to meet you, man. Cool shirt.
Thank you. I'm Casey Dirth from Troy, New Hampshire.
What high school you go to?
I go to Monadnock Middle High School.
So what made you want to be here today?
It's a subject that's not wanted to be talked about a lot. I don't even like to talk about it a lot with my friends. My close friends know about it. I've had a total of about 4 panic attacks in the past 2-3 months. And
what do they feel like?
Terrifying. That's the best way I can describe it. The first one I had was when I was at a concert with my mom for New Kids on the Block. The noise was a lot, there was a whole lot of people, and it just scared me, but I actually was in the corner next to a trash can and a wall, freaking out, but I didn't want to go talk to my mom about it because I wanted her to have a good time.
Feeling of panic disorder is now set upon you. You're now starting to do that. Okay. So when I was 19, I had my first panic attack, and I wasn't sure what it was. I was in the Olympics. I was at the Olympics in Atlanta, and I just woke up at 2 in the morning. I was like, man, I started like getting cold, and I was like, I mean, it was a full blown, like I thought I was gonna die. Has it affected anything of your day-to-day life yet?
Kind of. I've been trying to avoid bigger crowds. I've been okay with them. I'm not a big social person anyways. I know people who at my school that have problems, suffer from depression, aren't best mindseted, has family issues, mental issues going on. I know people who have them, and the school can't do a lot about it.
But you want to get control of this now. I mean, you're 17? Yeah. At 17 years old, you want to get control of this now because you want to start to overcome these things, because it'll take control of your adult life if you don't take control of it now. You know, you want to seek the help that you can get, because you probably have a predisposed position like I do, where your brain releases crazy chemicals and you just have these panic attacks. You know, I just want you to know that you can take control of that now in your life before it gets out of control.
And I really appreciate you saying that. It makes me feel much better. And
you can overcome it, and you will. You know, I hope you stand up for kids that go through that stuff, you know, because you wouldn't want that to happen to you. So, and who drove you here?
My mom, actually.
Tell her I said thank you.
I will.
Cool, man. Awesome. How are you?
Good, Jenny.
Justin, how are you? Nice to meet you.
My name's Jenny Nash, and I live in Manchester, New Hampshire.
So what prompted you to even want to be here?
I'm a little emotional right now. I've seen a lot of your posts about like overcoming anxiety, and I have a lot of anxiety, and it's really hard for me to like manage it. A lot of times I'll get like really depressed because I don't feel I can go and do the things that I want to do. So like even just going to the grocery store, like I have to give myself a pep talk. I have to listen to music. I have to, you know what I mean? And I have to go like when nobody's there, or else sometimes I just have a panic attack right in the middle of the grocery store. Even just coming here, you know, made me anxious, but I knew that this was something that I needed to do if I had the chance. And it's like incredulous to me to see people that perform for millions of people, or thousands of people, that overcome the same thing that I overcome. And that's really inspiring, and I want to know how to do it, because I'm just one person. But if you guys can do it, or if you can do it, why can't I?
A lot of people, here's a big thing that, you know, I think people deal with. If you can't see something, you know, if it's a broken arm, we have to get a cast, or you break your leg, we got to get a cast, you know, it's like, or, you know, a back surgery or neck surgery, or, you know, oh, the person's got diabetes. You can't see mental health issues. But yet I would argue that the most debilitating of any of the issues that exist in the world today, you know, that's not something that's, you know, gonna kill you. But mental health, you know, especially what you're dealing with, anxiety and panic has literally transformed your lifestyle. It has changed who you are, and not for the better, it seems like.
I've ended up in the emergency room because I thought I was having a heart attack.
What's the most depressed you've ever been?
We got evicted in March, and for like the first 6 weeks after that, I just laid in bed and did nothing. I got up and did the dishes and cooked dinner, but I wasn't living. I wasn't. The anxiety of the situation and just the situation itself, I couldn't do anything. I survived. That was it. I existed. That was it. I did what I had to do to live.
And it's always remarkable in those darkest times that there's even the desire to find a way to live, right? Because it's like your brain wants to survive. But it's like 1% of you, because the rest of you just, you feel like you probably felt like this is how it's gonna be the rest of my life. And you probably have a big fear right now that this is how it's gonna be the rest of your life.
Yeah, because it's just like one thing after another. Like I start getting in a good place and some outside factor will happen, and then, you know, it's like.
What was the last thing that you've done that you felt was courageous? That you overcame anxiety and did it anyways?
I don't really remember, but honestly, being
it's
here
right,
today.
It's right now.
Yeah.
It's right now.
Yep.
I think so. I think that you have a lot more ability than you might give yourself credit for. I think a lot of people have a lot more ability than they give themselves credit for. They think they can't do something. But the only way, there's no pill that's gonna get you to overcome that fear that you're self-creating on yourself. There's nobody that can help you do that. You're gonna do that by success of attempting it. You're gonna go out there, and after the 5th time you go to the supermarket without having a panic attack, you will understand that you can overcome those things. Because you're gonna look back when you're 7 years old and go, I let anxiety win, and you're never gonna get a chance again. You'll never get the chance to live again, ever. So go for it. Marry a young man, travel the world, try things, set goals, overcome those fears. I'd rather have you have a panic attack every day and try to get out there and do it than stay home and stay in bed.
You're right.
All right.
You really are.
Thanks for coming. It was a pleasure to meet you.
It's nice meeting you too.
Of course. Thanks for sharing your story with me.
Oh, you're welcome.
And hopefully that'll inspire some people to, you know, and you overcame a lot today. The stories you hear today are about individuals that are struggling every day. But the common thread that I feel is that they feel alone, that they feel like they're the only ones that go through this, and that right there gives them a sense of insecurity and a sense that they have no worth. When I was speaking to Jenny, I was talking to her about her purpose, about what she needs to do to get out of bed every day and want to take on a new life. At 42 years old, she still has so much time to take advantage of those years, and that she can do anything. You can do anything. Talking to Casey, he talked about his early struggles with panic disorder as he goes into adulthood. And I wanted to remind him, hey, listen, this might be something that you're gonna have to deal with for a long time, but address it now. Don't let it take over your life. Don't let it systematically become the most important thing in your life. So many of us every day, we struggle with something. This was an important episode for me to do as someone who struggles with mental health. I look forward to talking more about this. I hope you visit and like us on Facebook, because on there, I oftentimes talk about my struggles, and maybe it'll inspire you to overcome some of yours. So remember, in a world full of chaos, it's important that all of us continue to show our kindness.